You're watching The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. We have Kamau Bell in the building.
W. Kamau Bell.
Oh, when we say Walter, W. Kamau Bell.
I thought it was Kamau.
Kamau, like
Kamau,
Kamau, like
Kapow.
No, I'm glad we did this part on the radio.
Right.
Just to let people know, I'm not that famous. How do you pronounce your name?
Well, Mr. Bell.
Thank you.
There you go.
Emmy winning, Mr. Bell.
Award winning. Congrats on that too, man.
Thank you very much.
That was big because it was one of those. It wasn't like televised, but then I saw you like. Was it televised?
No, it was on FX, so it's like that's kind of television, but it's not the prime time.
Kind of television.
It's not the prime time Emmys with the real famous people, like
But I saw I saw the announcement. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Yeah, no, I never expected to win an Emmy, so I'm ready to quit. It was good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it was big. I'd never thought in my career, the weird path my career has taken, I didn't think it ended up with me accepting an Emmy award from LL Cool J. That's not something I put in my dream
That's your
journal.
first one.
It's my first one, yeah.
So you
We'll
got some
see.
more to come, right?
We'll see. One is fine, but I'll take more if they hand them to me.
It's very interesting because the show United Shades of America is not a comedy show at all. I mean, it's humor in it when you're watching.
Yeah, there's humor. Yeah, but it's not. I mean, it's not. That some people would say I'm not a comedian at all, so that's how it goes. But yeah, I'm just. It's. I like things that educate you, are interesting, are compelling, and funny at the same time. I think that the reason why people like it is because it's on a CNN as a news network. But you're getting information without the same tone that news brings.
I find it interesting that you hid your Starbucks cup before you walked in here this morning.
I didn't have a Starbucks cup.
Starbucks
Look at this. I'm drinking Red Bull. I can't go to Starbucks. My 3-year-old calls it the bad place.
The bad place.
You had a bad. I read about that.
She does. She's like So my wife is white. My 3-year-old's mixed, and her grandmother, my wife's mom, got super mad at her for calling it the bad place.
Really?
Yeah. We had a discussion at the dinner table with my white mother-in-law, my mixed kid, my black mom, me and my wife about Starbucks being the bad place.
How did she know? What did she see?
She's smart. We talk about this stuff all the time in our house, so we don't realize how much we're talking about it, but she just picked up on it. So we passed the Starbucks. She goes, "That's the bad place."
So no more coffee for her.
No more coffee for her. Yeah.
How does she deal with dad being black and mom being white and seeing the I guess injustice of having
Dad
this
being black.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, but you black.
Yeah, I'm black. I'm real black.
Afro,
Yeah.
like you
I got
tall.
an afro. Yeah, I'm tall. I'm 260. I'm real. Yeah. If I get killed, I'm a gentle giant. I know how it works. He was a gentle giant. Yeah, I know how it works. Well, see, guys, I have a 7-year-old too, and she's the one who understands that, like, we talked about the things, I bought a book, because, there's great books out there for kids. So I bought a book about Harriet Tubman and read it to her, and and it says black people used to be slaves. They could be sold like sacks of potatoes. And so they understand that happened. And at the end of the day, they go, that doesn't make sense, which is the same thing we all feel about that stuff.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing in the world because my daughter's 9 and she has so many questions now. And it's like, you really can't explain racism.
No, you can't.
It's something that you got to experience. Like, you can't explain. I don't want her to experience it.
And
but
she will.
It.
Yeah. Because, and plus my daughter, my 7-year-old, is clearly mixed. My 3.5-year-old, for white people, is going to pass. She's going to be able to get the state secrets. So it's like they're going to be living separate lives, and I have a third daughter on the way. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, thank you.
Didn't you get kicked out of a coffee shop yourself before?
Thanks for bringing that up. Yes, I did. Yeah, no, I got it in Berkeley, California. I got kicked out of the
Starbucks?
No. It was an independent kicking out of a coffee shop.
They thought you were trying to sell something to your wife?
Yeah, they thought. I mean, the story is so ridiculous. Like, it doesn't. If it was a screenplay, you'd be like, take that part out.
Black guy just came in and
started talking to this white lady and this baby that looked like him.
I remember that in your book.
Yeah. So the story, if it was a screenplay, you'd pull something out because it doesn't make sense. So it was my birthday. We had eaten at that coffee shop earlier that day. I went back to meet my wife with our baby and all her friends who were white women with babies because it was a mom's group. And
Oh, my goodness.
And I went and I bought at the bookstore right next to this place called the Elmwood Cafe. I bought a book about the loving couple who was the couple who struck down the interracial marriage law. It's a children's book. So I buy this book about interracial marriage is legal and it's good and it's okay. I go to the coffee shop, show it to one of my wife's friends, and somebody knocks on the window and says, "Get out of here."
Whoa.
Yeah, like it was 1950s Alabama. Yeah. And
What
so
were you wearing?
What was I wearing? Admittedly, I was wearing a hoodie, Charlamagne. So, it's kind of on me. It's kind of on me. I'm sorry. It was an Oaklandish hoodie, so it was an expensive hoodie, but it was a hoodie.
And did you leave?
I mean, we left, but in not in like a running way, like in a, this is racist, fuck you, this is bull. My wife to her credit, we were getting in the car with the baby. She's like, no, I got to go back. And she went back and read The Woman for Filth on the sidewalk the way my mom would have liked her to.
White privilege, as you should.
Yeah, she used her white skin privilege. I mean, I think that's why the cops weren't called, is because my white wife was like, I'm with this Negro, I represent him, it's just like, so, and I'm not saying everybody should marry a white woman. I know that's not a popular thing to say, but I am saying that in my case, she was able to stand up right there and sort of like make people back down.
Does that happen a lot?
What, she stands up for me?
No.
I take her everywhere. I take her everywhere.
I use her white privilege like Starbucks Wi-Fi.
Well, no, she uses my male privilege and I use her white privilege. We go back and forth.
Trade.
Trading
people
privileges.
Look at you odd still to this day, like, because we see interracial couples, but I guess it still bothers people.
I mean, we have sort of blocked it out, but yeah, there are times when things will happen and my wife will be like, is that good? Yeah. Because we're in the Bay Area, but as we learned in Berkeley, racism's all over this country.
Right.
It probably happens more in the Bay Area than it does in like Alabama, because in Alabama, they're real used to us mixing it up down there, So yeah.
Now I see why you're drinking Red Bull, though.
Yes, right. Why is that?
You hate coffee.
That's right. Coffee hasn't been good to me in the last 5 years or 3 years. Yeah.
Now, do you get flack from your own people for reaching across enemy lines? You didn't even let me finish.
Do you get flack from your own people? Yes, I do, Charlamagne. Thanks for asking. Yeah.
What is it? A two-part question?
Yeah. Okay. Good.
You get flack from your own people?
I did the episode with the Ku Klux Klan. Black people were like, even you tweeted like, what is this Negro doing? Because why are you talking to the Klan? We already know the Klan exists. I get flack from people when I talk to Richard Spencer, the first episode of last season. Why is he talking to this guy? Why isn't he punching him in the face? So, but then I also get in the same Twitter feed, I get people going, oh, white people, I didn't know the Klan existed. Oh my God, I can't believe who are sort of like waking up to the idea that kind of racism still exists. I get people going, oh my God, I didn't know who this Richard Spencer guy was. I can't believe that. So I do get flack. I accept the flack. It's part of the job. But also I think that there are sometimes more people on the side going, I didn't know this existed, than the people who are like, why would you do this? But also, that's why I do episodes like Chicago. We did an episode about gang violence in Chicago, which is the one we won the Emmy for. This season it's our blackest season ever because we have 3 black episodes out of 8. So it's a 37% black.
What's going to be on?
We have an episode about historically black colleges and universities. We have an episode about the Gullah Geechee of South Carolina.
Charleston? I heard about that.
That's right. We tried to reach out to you. You're busy.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure we did.
No way, I'd have been there at a heartbeat.
All right, well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So then, and then we do one in Mobile, Alabama, where my dad is featured in the episode talking about living in the South.
But let's talk about the HBCUs now. What is that episode about, and how important?
I mean, I'm going to get a lot of flack over this one too because I didn't feature all the HBCUs. I didn't go to all 100 of them. I went to 4 or 5.
Ones?
I went to Morehouse. I went to Spelman. I went to Morris Brown in Atlanta and talked to a student from Howard. And then we also did Lincoln University in Pennsylvania.
And be mad
You
as
just
hell.
didn't feel like traveling.
No, we just don't have a budget. We don't have that Anthony Bourdain budget, so we have to sort of figure out how to do it. And we only get 4 or 5 days for each shoot, so we have to pack it in.
school, but we let you live.
I see. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
I
already.
see the Hampton behind
But
you.
anyway,
Trying to wrap it up. Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Thanks for coming by. Now, but let's talk about HBCUs. And what did you discover? What did you see?
Well, I did not go to an HBCU. I went to the same university that Trump graduated from, University of Pennsylvania.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, that's different.
I was one of those Negroes.
So you're not like his supporter. You like, well, he didn't finish though.
No, neither did I. So, we have that in common. And that's all we have in common. But I mean, the idea is like we talked about the history of HBCUs. The big thing is like people. I always heard people go, "Why do we still have HBCUs? Why are they still relevant?" And we talk a lot about the relevance of HBCUs. And just like you have a school for that, there's Christian schools, there's schools for the blind, there's all these different schools. Schools are about being able to choose the one that fits for you. So I also learned a lot that a lot of black people go to HBCUs, go there because they went to predominantly white schools in high school and need to sort of reconnect with their blackness.
Absolutely.
That's why Envy might want to send his daughter to Hampton.
Yeah,
right?
that's why I want to send my daughter. I was going to ask, would you send your daughter to HBCU?
I mean, I'm going to, after going to Spelman, I'm going to make sure they go visit Spelman because Spelman was the most impressive of all of them.
Really?
Spelman feels like a black woman think tank. It doesn't feel like a college.
But you go to Hampton.
You're right. See, I know my black Twitter's gonna be like all over that night. I got it. I'm ready. Yeah.
That's good. I think it's dope. And I think you're right. I think a lot of students go to Catholic schools or private schools as high schools because their parents want to take them out the hood.
Yeah.
And then they kind of miss that and want to go back there. Because I want my daughter to go to a HBCU. Hopefully she does because I think she misses that now. You know what I mean? And that feeling of, oh, this person is just like me, looks like me. We're from the same place. We're the same thought process, you know?
What if she wants to go to Howard?
She go to whatever HBCU she wants to.
Okay.
But if she go to Howard, she got to pay for herself.
And I think that's what's important about the episode is that a lot of the themes of the season is that black is not a monolith. I think that the point of going to HBCU is a lot of the black people go to the schools are saying like, I found so much diversity here. Black people are not all one thing. And so there's black people who are listening to hip hop. There's black people listening to Rage Against the Machine. There's black people doing all across the spectrum of blackness. And you can reconnect. You can find your people at an HBCU. If I had known that when I went to college, I probably would have applied to an HBCU.
Let's talk about that because that's one of the big themes in your book. Yeah. That black people are not monolithic, and you see everything that's going on with Kanye West, right?
Yeah.
Confusing, I know.
Yeah,
perplexing, I know.
He's a confusing, perplexing guy.
Listen, whenever everybody else goes left, Kanye always goes right.
Yeah,
He's been doing that his whole career, right? Always. So, do you think it's possible to be Kanye West, support Trump, and for us to be like, okay, yeah, I guess we cool with that?
And I mean, I feel like this is going to put so much pressure on the album. The music has to be so good. I feel like it's got to be like classic Kanye to the nth degree for this to be okay.
What if he has a song called "Love Trump," but it's a banging song?
But you're talking about the most banging fire song in the history of hip hop. With Tupac's on. Oh, where did the Tupac verse come from? It just puts so much pressure on the music because there's all this side eye now.
This is the greatest social experiment I think I've seen in a long time. And I'm not saying I don't know if it's a social experiment or not, but it feels like a social experiment.
I mean, I think Kanye is a social experiment.
100%.
I think he, like you said, he lives his life that way. He's trying to provoke, but I think we live in dangerous times where.
Yes.
I'm not saying black people can't be Republicans. My dad worked in the Republican administration of Alabama. We all know black Republicans.
Black people shouldn't support racists.
Trump is a racist. That's why I brought the shirt. Yes, he's a racist. You know what I mean? So supporting Trump is supporting a legacy of racism and a current practice of racism. So you can say, I think there's all these Republicans like Tara Setmeyer, who's on CNN, is a reasonable black Republican. We can talk about financial stuff. We can talk about the military, but Trump's not a Republican.
No.
You think sometimes people get so removed from the average everyday person problems that they just really are disconnected?
Once you marry Kardashian, you are so far away from the streets of Chicago. Even if you go visit the streets of Chicago as Kanye, you're surrounded by people, right? He's not going there by himself. Right. He's not. So there's a challenge of being a rich black person that even if you came from the hood or you came from poverty, it's hard to reconnect once you become a rich black person. I think and we see it time and time again that once black people get rich, they start to talk, well, we lift ourselves up. I lifted myself up by my bootstraps. Why can't you do the same? So I think it's a real, and I think about that as I'm not a rich black person, but I'm certainly a black person who is doing well. And so I'm always reminding myself and trying to connect with people so I don't go, I don't know why everybody doesn't have a house with a cul-de-sac. You know what I mean? I'm benefiting from the work I've put in, but I still got to connect with the community and still got to connect with the activists who will call me out. That's why I don't mind getting called out on Twitter, because who will call me out when I go, that was too much.
Well, just to play white devil's advocate. People talk about that pull them up by the bootstraps mentality. I don't look at it as that. I look at it as an outcast and goody mob mentality. When they said you need to get up, get out, and get something, don't let the days of your life pass by. You need to get up, get out, and get something because you and I got to do for you and I. You do have to put in the work regardless.
You do have to put in the work, but everybody who puts in the work doesn't lift themselves up. Everybody doesn't have the same level of opportunities. There's lots of.
I don't think none of us do though.
No, but I'm saying, but we can't. If you lift yourself up by your bootstraps and somebody else is putting in work and doesn't get lifted up, it may be because the system they were in at the time did not allow them to lift themselves up. I'm not saying everybody. I worked hard. I'm not saying that you got lucky. You got to put the hard work in, but we can't act like just putting the hard work in is going to guarantee some level of success. The hard work that a black person puts in and the hard work that a white person put in is not on history. You look at statistically, doesn't add up to the same level of success.
Right. Yeah, absolutely right. But success is subjective too, because I think that we live in a country where success to us means super rich, super wealthy, celebrity. That's not always success. You might make $50,000 a year. You got a nice little place to stay, a car, your family good, you happy.
Yeah, but I think we also the problem with black success is that it doesn't transfer across generations.
Right. You want to make sure you're taking care of the next generation. The next generation, you have things to hand down.
But it's
entrepreneurship.
No, it's not. But
you've only been out of segregation 50 years.
But I think the problem is that we're not going to catch up to white people.
Never.
And so the New York Times did a whole thing with all these infographics about if a black person is born rich, they're not likely to stay in that level of richness. They're going to fall out of it. They're likely to fall out of it. If a white person is born rich, this is particularly black men even if you're born like a kid of a rich black person, like Michael Jordan's son, I'm not saying they're going to happen, but it's likely that you will fall out of that to a lower level, not all the way down, and some fall all the way down. White people don't generally fall out of that level that they're born into.
Well, shouldn't we be running our own race though?
What do you mean?
Because white people got a 400-year head start. Like, I don't think the goal should be to catch up.
No, but the
white
goal is
people.
to
Let's
that
just do
you
us.
want to be able, if you have $1, you want to be able to pass as much down to the next generation as you can. White people are able to pass down a lot more, whereas black people aren't able to even hold on to that dollar.
But it's new though. Like, wealth is new for the black community. This is our first generation of billionaires, multimillionaires. So
Yeah,
it's new.
yes, that is true. But also, the statistics say that we're not going to hold on to it unless we have systemic changes. If the public schools stay the same,
Right.
and the prisons stay the same, and the neighborhoods stay the same, and the neighborhoods are still food deserts, we're not going to. That money we make in this generation is just going to slip away.
True indeed. And those of us who have money, don't buy the Maybach, don't buy the jewelry. You know what I mean? Invest in some property.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, those of us with money just have to do the right things with money now.
No, and I'm in that space right now of like having a little bit of money, and it's like I don't spend money on nothing. Like last night I went to see Denzel on Broadway, and I was like, can I do this? I think this isn't. Can I do? Is this okay? So.
What about investing though? Do you take risks as far as that? Because obviously you have to invest in order to achieve wealth.
No, you do have to invest, and that's something that I'm just now in the place of like, I guess I should start looking into that. But I have to surround myself with people. Luckily, my dad has money because he's worked hard in his life. So it's like I have somebody I can go to trust. But a lot of times, black people. And I saw the segment you did on here about black investment. That's important that we talk about that more because I think there is a thing where we get money, and I mean this happens a lot. You go, I'm going to get the nicest shoes and the nicest this, but it's like you have to figure out how to hold on to that money. And for black people, it just is historically hard because even. Like Madam C.J. Walker is the first female millionaire of any race in America, self-made millionaire. Is there some Madam C.J. Walker Foundation fund? Are the kids of Madam C.J. Walker somewhere balling out? I don't know them to be true. So I think
no
that
idea.
exactly. I don't either. But I think that like whereas we know that like the Gettys and the Hearst family, that money is still around.
But I think it's also important to not just hold on to your money, but to also do something with it.
Well,
So
that's what I
that
mean.
your
like
money-
yeah. Like but I mean hold. I don't mean hold on. I mean you have to invest it to make it grow.
Sometimes we're really
Why am I
scared
talking
to
like you? You
invest.
should just take this over, DJ.
No, I agree. I mean, I came from a dad who was a police officer. My mom worked at a life insurance company, and they didn't know how to invest. Like they worked 30 years and then lived off their retirement. And for me, it's I'm trying to teach my kids how to do it. Yeah, I like nice things and I buy myself nice things, but I also feel that's an investment for myself because I think a lot of these kids look at me as like I want to be like that, which is great, which brings more people to the things that I'm doing. But it's difficult because I don't know. I didn't know about buying a home and doing construction. That shit hit me on the head. I didn't know.
Yeah, you're learning though.
But I'm learning. Same thing with buying. Like you talk about white people. Look at my neighbor. My neighbor has 15 cars. His 15 cars is worth $40 million. He knows how to invest in his cars. So now I'm starting to look at that. I'm
What kind
talking
of cars he got? Like old school and stuff like that?
yeah, like old limited edition Porsches, limited edition cars that he bought, as a kid that his father gave it to him that now just appreciated to $30,000. Now they're worth $1 million. He has one Mercedes going. He paid $20,000 in the 90s, and that car's worth 1.3. Well, we just
bought a Honda Odyssey, so one day I'll be looking up at that Honda Odyssey. we got all the cup holders and the screens and the headphones, so we'll be able to.
I don't know.
That's an idea for a show.
What's that?
Black wealth.
Oh yeah, it is.
You know what I'm
that
saying?
one. I'll bring you both. I'll bring everybody on that one. Yeah, we'll do that one.
I ain't on that one now.
You're not on that one.
No, all I do is save my money. I've been fired 4 times, so I'm scared. I don't spend.
Well, this is the other thing too is that when black people lose wealth, we don't have the ability to go out and flip it into a new job. People said, and so like Trump has been bankrupt many times, but he uses his white privilege to sort of keep the ball rolling. Whereas black people, we don't have the ability to go back into a bank and go, could I have more money? I filed for bankruptcy. Can we still do business?
I think that's we don't have relationships. Like I can't, Trump can go to a bank and say, hey, Richie,
I can't call the owner
I need
of the
this
bank
money right there. And they say
hey.
yes. I can't do that. I have to go through a process.
Yes.
Let me see how much you made.
Yeah.
Let me see your credit score.
And I bet they go, DJ, is that a real thing?
That's nothing, well, let me see, but sometimes it does help because it's somebody young in there that listens and they say, oh, I know him, but a lot of times it doesn't. But Trump has that foot in the door where he knows somebody that has a friend that knows somebody.
What about when you bank black?
Banking black, sometimes they don't have the necessary money and the interest rates are too high. I've tried several times. They just weren't able to give me what I needed. You know what I mean? Where another bank who doesn't know me is able to give me that fund. I tried several times to get things to do investments, to flip cribs, and they weren't able to give it to me without putting that much down. And I'm like, you want me to put 30% down, but if I wanted to put 30% down, I would have just put the whole thing down. Like this is, but they just
Black Wealth episode.
Yeah, no, I'm with
That's
it.
it.
I've been pitched that one before, so I think we'll be back for season 4 since this Emmy will give me another little room. But
And not celebrities either, though.
No. I mean, the problem is because we've talked about wealth before, is that wealthy people a lot of times don't want to talk about their money.
taxes.
True indeed.
Yeah, so they don't because they don't want you to know. Unlike most wealthy people aren't like Trump, where they like want you to know how much money they have or want you to think they have more.
Or they lie about it and inflate it.
Yeah. Where most people who are wealthy, and that's the hard part. We've tried to do wealth episodes a couple times where wealthy people, even if you know they're wealthy and they're publicly wealthy, they don't want to talk about it.
And that's the crazy thing for me and even I know. I don't mind telling people how because I want them to do the same thing because nobody told me. So if I can help and give you the in, I want you to know. I want you to say, okay, well, you better get an accountant. You better make an LLC. You better do this because you don't want to get stuck. I owed the IRS at one time a lot of money, paid them off, but I didn't know what was going on. I'm just doing it, But now, if somebody will guide you, they'll guide you. Now, what the hell?
Okay, here we go.
Gullah Geechee Man.
Don't you disrespect my my culture, boy.
Now, what is that?
You know what I'm saying?
Is that West Indian?
that 843, boy?
Trinidadian
What's wrong
with
with you, boy?
Jamaican?
That's right.
I'll box you in your mouth, boy.
That's everything he said.
Right.
It's the areas of it's along the coast. A lot of it's South Carolina. It's basically the black people from West Africa who were enslaved there, and they lived on the sea. Part of them lived on the Sea Islands. Now the thing is that it was once slavery was ended, white people fled those islands because they were too hard to get to, and once slavery was over, so black people in that part of the country were allowed to hold on to a lot of their West African culture, talk like he was just talking about. They have their own dialect. Geechee, yeah. And so it's and this again, black is not a monolith. You think black people sort of speak the same vernacular, not in that part of the country.
Hell no. It's so interesting. I did an Ancestry test. I did 23andMe, and I found out I was 97% West African.
Yo, wow.
So I'm sure most people in Charleston are. I just did African Ancestry, so I'm waiting to see exactly where in West Africa. I'm hoping for Nigeria. But
That's funny.
I do. I love Nigeria.
Yeah.
I just like Nigeria. But I'm hoping for Salute to Lagos, my homie DJ Cuppy. But it's interesting. When I heard that, I was like, wow. And then you realize, like, damn, we really are, like, right there.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I just did the Ancestry test, and I found out most black people are 25% white European. It was 27%, and I was like, man, I'm literally not black enough.
Not me. Listen.
People get
I'm
devastated
like
when they find out how white they are.
Yeah.
I'm like 2%. I'm black as fuck. I'm so happy.
I know.
Oh my God.
It makes you feel better, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah. And I was like, everybody in high school was right. Yeah. I'm not black enough. And the other thing about the south area of the country is that something like 70% of black people who were enslaved came through that part of the country. So most of us have DNA that goes back that way.
Oh no, they're building the African American. I should know this by heart. African American Museum. They're building it right on this port.
Yeah.
Where they said 60% of all slaves came through in Charleston.
Yes. Yeah, and we actually talked to the guy, Michael Moore is his name, who's in charge of building that. And while we were there filming it, talking about this beautiful museum, this white woman walking a dog, old white woman came up and go, we don't need this museum. We don't need this
You
here.
should have said, shut up, cracker. Shut your crack ass up.
Now you also have your stand-up comedy.
Yes, I do. And I got a special coming out. I can't say who it's with yet because it hasn't been announced.
It's not Netflix.
It's already been announced. It got announced by Netflix. It's called Private School
how could you not
Negro.
tell
Oh, there you go. Good. Private School
What's wrong
Negro.
with you?
Do you always know more than I know? I don't got a Google alert for my
We
name.
just ruined that surprise.
No. Yeah, so it's called Private School. I guess the date. I don't know if the date has been announced yet. But
Did you make more than Monique?
did I make more than Monique?
Monique didn't do it.
Monique did. Yeah, that's true.
Or did you get offered more than Monique?
Let me say this. I understand why Monique was upset.
Really?
Yeah. I think the whole thing with Monique is we sort of got caught up in the messenger and lost the message. Right. Black women in comedy, this is true across all of comedy, not just Netflix. Also, I think we focus too much on Netflix like it's the power company. Mm-hmm. Black women in comedy do not get promoted to the same positions. They're not promoted in the same way that black men in comedy are promoted.
That I agree with.
So I think that's the ultimate message we need to take from it. Not you can focus on Netflix if you want to, but let's focus on the whole industry. Like when a black woman is a funny comedian, they don't get like Kevin Hart. It's like, okay, you get buddy cop movie, you get you get your own TV show, you get all these things that just sort of come up. They automatically plug you into the lead roles in movies. Well, black women aren't generally in the lead roles in movies. Right. Black comedian, so if you're a comedian, you're not the lead role in the movie is also the woman who's the leading lady. So the black women in comedy aren't getting those same roles and opportunities. So
I did work to that though. It's not like they just.
No. This is not. I'm not. But I just say again, the same level of work doesn't come out with the same results.
I think Monique's what she messed up was when she said Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and Amy Schumer and everybody automatically like. You don't deserve the money.
Well, that's why I think I think it's weird that we know how much people are making for specials anyway because we didn't used to know that. We did. I mean, now it's like an athletic contract, huh?
We didn't care at the time.
We didn't care. And also,
care
you didn't make really. They didn't pay you much for the specials because the special was like an advertisement for your tour. So now, when you sit down to watch Chappelle, you're like, "Is this worth $50 million?" Like, I think it sort of ruins it ruins the sort of thing of just sitting down and watching a comedian work.
So did they put your numbers out?
No, I don't think so.
10 million.
Jesus,
For an
I would.
Emmy,
I see it
Emmy
right there.
winning.
I didn't win the Emmy by that. If it was 10 million, sir, I would not be here right now. I would be retired. Yeah, I'd promote it, and then it'd be like, what happened to Kamau? Yeah, I'd be retired. But yeah, no, it's not. It was not.
That is an interesting.
It's called Private School Negro. Yeah.
That is an interesting take though, because you're like, was that $50 million funny?
I just think it puts us in a weird position. Instead of just sitting down and watching a special the way we used to watch back in the day, you sort of sit down and watch it the way you watch LeBron play. Is this worth the amount of money they're paying him?
And then you'll hear somebody tell you a number, they'll be like, oh, such and such got $5 million, and then you watch him, you're like, he ain't getting no $5 million for that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like I think comedy does not help art when we attach the commerce to it. Right. You know, I think in general it doesn't. You don't want to know how much somebody spent on their album. You don't want to know how much somebody.
But you know what? It is hard for people to negotiate, like for women to say, well, this is how much this person got for that, because people don't share their salary. So that's why for so long, women weren't knowing how much men were getting paid to be in the same movie that they were. If they are co-starring in a movie together, how would you even know?
Well, I think there's a difference between people in the industry knowing and the general public knowing what's going on.
But I don't think anybody should know. I don't think anybody should know. If I make this deal, that's based on my deal and what I do. Nobody should come behind me and be like, well, how much did they make? It's none of your business.
I think we should stop telling people how much money we make. I think we should stop telling people our religion. And we should stop telling people what the politics are.
And we should stop telling people what music we. I think we should treat all things like we treat pornography. It's just none of your business.
Unless you're Stormy Daniels.
It's just none of your business. Yeah, unless it's actually related to the president's pornography. But it's just, I think we know too much about everybody. Like the Kanye, we didn't used to know what any celebrity thought about anything, and now it's sort of if celebrities don't tell us what they think, we think it's weird. You know, so I think we should. It should all be like you don't go around announcing what kind of porn you watch. So I think we should treat it all the same way. Yeah, and aren't those people kind of like when you follow somebody on Twitter and they tweet out a porn link, you're like, what, dude? You don't do this.
Like Charlamagne likes black cheerleaders.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My wife was a cheerleader, though. Don't you think that America has an unhealthy obsession with celebrity?
Yes, I mean I think America. A lot of this country was founded on Europeans, British principles, and we still want kings and queens.
Ooh.
So I think we still have this. Our celebrity obsession is chased to. We want to believe that there's some people who are a higher class of people than us.
Yeah.
You think that's just an American thing, though?
Well, I think we've exported that to the world. I think
right,
we export pop culture to the world. You know, we don't import a lot of pop culture. Even the ones who come here from other countries have to then do it through our system. You know, so yeah, I think it's certainly an unhealthy obsession, and I think it's gotten worse because of social media. Like, I don't really need to know knowing what Kanye thinks about Trump is going to affect how people approach his music.
I was watching Twitter yesterday. He had 2 million tweets. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
2 million people care about who he says he likes?
And that's the problem I find myself in, too. Like, I got to care because too many people care.
Boom.
Like, that's the problem I find. Like, I don't want to talk about this. And you do the rounds like this, and I go on a lot of CNN shows, and they ask me questions like, I actually don't care.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
I said, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not interested in what.
But we have to. We're in media. You have to have an opinion on it.
Talk about it, right?
Yeah, even if your opinion is, I don't care.
That was my opinion.
There you go.
Well, I sat down and chopped it up with him, so.
I know you listen to the album. You get invited to the car.
Well, no, we did an interview, so you'll get to hear more about how he feels.
And he flew Charlamagne out.
He definitely didn't fly me out. He definitely did not fly me out.
You didn't pay for your own ticket, though. Somebody paid for that ticket.
I was already out there, though. I was out there on business already.
All right. But I said somebody paid for that ticket.
There's no way I'm not flying just to hear no goddamn music.
That's what I'm saying. I don't blame you. I was
already out there. Now, you can finally talk about the Chris Rock doc.
Yeah, the Chris Rock doc is a special it's an hour-long special, an hour and a half long special on Bring the Pain. It's going to air on A&E. Yeah, you're in it. Chris is in it. Wanda Sykes is amazing in it. Ava DuVernay is in it. It's a lot of great people. And his brother Tony Rock is amazing in it. I feel like Tony Rock is the hidden star of this thing, and people are going to think like, why are we seeing him more? Yeah.
No, I mean he was super close to it as well. I mean,
yeah, well that's the thing he talks about. He's got a quote at the end. He's like, I was never close to my brother growing up. I'm not close to my brother now. We were never closer than during the making of Bring the Pain.
Really?
Yeah, it's really. I mean, I think it's actually it's not funny all the way through. It's got some emotional stuff to it. It's Chris talking about his career when he was not doing anything, and Tony's very honest about he was not funny. You know, like Chris is like, I was okay. Tony's like he was just an average black comedian not doing well.
You know what I just found out from this book I just read about In Living Color, but Chris Rock did audition for In Living Color and he didn't make it. But they said after Keenen Ivory Wayans left the show, they tried to get Chris Rock.
They got him. He did like 4 or 5 episodes, and the show got canceled. We had to cut that out because it's like a network hour and a half, so it's 55 minutes. But we had to cut it out. He was on the show for 4 or 5 episodes, but it was after the Wayans left, and it didn't do well. And he said we had this on footage, but it's not in the thing, that he pitched them a reconfiguration of the show that they said no to. That was basically the Chris Rock show for HBO.
All
Like, so he's like, can we change this into something that fits me better?
That's interesting because it was kind of the same story with him in SNL. Like he never really popped off there either.
He left SNL because he said all the cool black things were happening on In Living Color. So he left SNL to go be on In Living Color, but then the Wayans had left and all the magic was gone. So and then he talks about being in the wilderness. He talks about how he followed Martin Lawrence. We talked to Martin Lawrence is in it, talking about how he blew Chris off the stage at a gig, and Chris then had to learn how to perform better. I'm really proud of it. Now, it's my first time directing something, and I'm not in it. So
what about his other peers like Chappelle and?
Chappelle, you can't get Chappelle. We reached out to him several times, but we got Aziz is in it, Amy Schumer's in it.
Did you get whoever casted him to play Pookie, his breakout role?
No, we didn't. There's no New Jack City talk. But we did get the woman from HBO because Chris Bring the Pain was supposed to be a half hour, and this woman from HBO went and saw him in exec, and she saw him do a half hour. Was like, you're doing an hour.
Right.
And he was like, what are you talking about?
That's one of my favorite stand-ups ever. That and I think Raw.
Well, that's what the idea of doing it, I don't know if stand-up thing has changed somebody's career. Maybe Ali Wong's recently did it, but even that, she didn't get as big as Chris, where they went from somebody who was like, oh, that guy's okay, to he's the best comic in the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't think. Whose stand-up recently did that for them?
I don't think
nobody.
I think that's the last, that overnight, that person. This is also before the social media era that it happened, We have I can't believe I forgot Oprah's in it. We got Oprah.
How you forget Oprah?
We got Oprah.
Well, we have Oprah right here.
Kanye said I'm the new Oprah, which lets you know he's suffering from mental illness of some sort.
Yeah. So we got a 25-minute interview with Oprah, and so she's throughout it too. So we didn't get Chappelle, but we got Oprah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we thank
When's
you
the new
for joining
season of
us.
United Shades of America? April 29th.
This Sunday, April 29th at 10:15 p.m. after Anthony Bourdain, only on CNN.
And what's the first episode?
The first episode is the U.S.-Mexico border.
That was a great drop you just did.
Thank you. I've been doing that a little bit. Yeah, thank you.
What, you going to help some Mexicans start building the wall down there?
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about me going, this wall's a good idea. I think we need to do this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I just want to say, I guarantee this will not be your highest viewed episode. I just want to be clear about that. I want to put out that guarantee that this will not be your highest viewed episode on the internet.
I should walk out.
Boom, boom, boom. All right.
More boom.
Boom,
there you
boom.
Go. There you
Okay.
Go. It's Kamau Bell. Kamau Bell is the Breakfast Club. Good morning.